Hello, listeners. Welcome to Plano's Political Pitbull Podcast. I am Esther.
And I'm Ruth.
And on today's program, we will be going over who is running for Plano City Council, the Texas House Bill on School Choice, that would be HB 3, and 2 zoning cases in Plano. So first up, let us talk on school choice. HB 3, House Bill 3. This is the companion bill to Senate Bill 2, which passed out of the Senate. As I predicted, it is somewhat different. It allows for online school. So that's a good thing. That was not in SB 2. So you can do an online school of your choice. It prioritizes special needs children and low-income children before everyone else, and a special needs kid could get up to $30,000 for the voucher. So obviously much more money than the $10,000 for the non-special ed kid. This is important because a lot of these special ed schools that do or specialize in one disability or another, they're much more expensive than the, shall we say, your typical private school, because obviously they need to be more hands-on, they need more teachers, they need more aides, they need smaller classrooms. Hence they need more, they would require more money. Okay, so let's go over the prioritization and how they do this. So I'm going to read directly from the bill, which I implore you all to read the bills. You can go to Legislature Online. It's Texas Legislature Online. You can look up the bill by bill number, by author, by even if you just want to say school choice, you put in a keyword. But I implore you to read the bills. Some of them are longer than others, but you know what? You don't have to read it all at once. So
that can't be the whole bill.
This is not the whole bill. No, this is just the section on who gets priority first. Okay?
Okay.
So it says that this will be a lottery of applicants, and this is the prioritizing of applicants in the following order. A, children with a disability who are members of a household with a total annual income that is at or below 500% of the federal poverty guidelines. So anyone under about $106,000. Children who are members of a household with a total annual income that is at or below 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. So that was B. C, children who are members of a household with a total annual income that is above 200% of the federal poverty guidelines and below 500% of the federal poverty guidelines. And D, children who are members of a household with a total annual income that is at or above 500% of the federal poverty guidelines. All right, so that is the order of the lottery. All right, so children with disabilities will get first dibs, and then it goes on from there. And obviously, the last folks to be pulled from the lottery are going to be those who have some kind of means. But this is much more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's definitely much more inclusive of children, or prioritizes children who are at or below a certain level of poverty, and children with special needs. Whereas SB2, you just had a blanket, anyone 500% above the poverty line or under. I will say, I think I like the House bill better than I like the Senate bill in this regard. Still not perfect, but I would still rather go with the Sweden system myself. But I don't get that choice. So,
I wouldn't say it targets or it's for families under the poverty line and children with disability, because with the children with disability, it specifically says children with a disability who are members of a household with a total annual income that is at or below 500% of the federal poverty guidelines. So it's specifically for children with disability of a family under the poverty guideline.
Yeah, below 500%, yes. Well, you've got to remember that the children with a disability, even if they're at, let's say their parents are at 500% above the poverty line, which is about $106,000 a year. That's about middle class right now. These children need, some of them, extensive help. So they did prioritize the children with disabilities first. And then it goes on to prioritize children with low income. It's better than the Senate bill in how they tier it. Senate bill is not tiered.
I was just clarifying.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way you were putting it was misleading.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry. Okay. So a lot of information flying about out there that, oh my God, this is going to ruin public schools. This is going to destroy them. Let me go over this again. None of this money will come from the property taxes, school property taxes. Okay, this is a separate fund. This program, when all the money is dealt out, will probably only fund 100,000 children. So the idea that the public schools are going to be destroyed by this is absolutely ridiculous. We are due to have 6 million children in our public school system in, let's say, 10 years because of all the people who keep moving down here. Right now, we have millions of children in the public schools. This is only 100,000 kids across the entire state of Texas. It's ridiculous to say that 100,000 kids across all of the state of Texas, all of the ISDs, are somehow going to be the catalyst of every PISD just going under because they've been removed from the public school. That's silly, all right? Some of these kids may not even be in the public school right now, so they will lose nothing. But please go read the bills for yourself. SB 2 is the Senate bill. HB 3 is your House bill, and you can find that on Texas Legislature Online. I will also put a link to the bills on our website, planospoliticalpitbull.com. Moving on, up next we have our Plano City Elections. As I mentioned last week, filing deadline has passed. We now have our candidates. Our candidates are Douglas Reeves for place 2, Bob Kerr, place 2, Carson Underwood, also place 2. So place 2 has 3 people running.
That's never good.
It means a runoff. Place 4, Cody Weaver, Chris Downs. Place 6 is our mayor, and John Munns is unopposed. Now, if y'all out there, maybe there is, I don't know, somebody out there who doesn't like John Munns and is really upset that he is unopposed, what you can do is you do not have to vote for John Munns. It's called an undervote. You can just skip that race and go on to the next one, which would be place 8. And that's got 2 opponents. We have Hayden Pageant and Vidal Quintanilla. I believe that is how it is pronounced.
I think you're pronouncing it wrong.
Well, I apologize if I am. All right, I will spell it Quintantilla. And I will have a list on our website of the names, the places, and all of their info, including links to their website. So you all can do your own homework and see what these guys are all about. So in the preliminary that I have done, I can tell you a few things. So place 2. Remember, Anthony is termed out. We are going to miss Councilman Anthony Riccadelli very much. He is literally one of a kind and irreplaceable, but he's termed out. So we have Douglas Reeves. Douglas Reeves is a registered, or I should say a voting Republican, votes in the Republican primary. He does work within the Collin County Republican Party. He's run for a few things before. I think he's run for mayor before. And his big thing is HUD funding for housing.
HUD,
yes, the Housing and Urban Development.
Oh.
That agency of the federal government hands out money for what is called, for lack of a better term, Section 8 housing. So let's say you are a poor person, you can't afford rent. You can get a voucher from the government, and that will go to your landlord and it'll help pay for your rent. Now, sometimes they build whole apartment buildings that are what they call Section 8. They are only for low-income families that are getting that help. The problem with some of these things is whenever you take federal money, there's always strings attached. Also, a person cannot go to the federal government and, I guess they could, but usually they don't. They don't go directly to the federal government and apply. They would go to their city and apply. This takes up resources from our city. We have to hire people who review all the applications and help in the process. Also, sometimes HUD money can go for homelessness prevention and other things that the city has people do. So it's very big on him because he's worried about the strings that are attached. And there's usually a lot of strings attached. Okay, next person, Bob Kerr. He is a voting Democrat. He votes in the Democrat primary. It's the way in Texas we know if somebody's a Republican or a Democrat is which primary they vote in. If you don't vote in any primary, then you're an independent. Some people hop back and forth.
That would also make them an independent.
Yes, but usually what people do is whatever primary you last voted in. If you're watching these things, if you're the political parties and you're watching these things, because these things are public knowledge, we don't know who you voted for, obviously. Nobody knows that. But people can know which primary you voted in. So he voted in Democrat primary in 2020. That was the last primary he voted in. So he's considered a Democrat. I looked on his website, and he is all for economic development. So already not happy with him.
Strike one.
Well, let's face it, those who have listened to our show before know we do not like corporate welfare. That is what economic development is. And, there are Republicans who like corporate welfare. They're sitting on council right now. And there are Democrats who like corporate welfare. Some of them are sitting on council right now. It's a very nonpartisan issue. Right? So doesn't really matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. I'm not going to be happy, and we're not going to be happy if you are for economic development. We will be nice to you. We're just not going to be happy with you. Last person in place 2 is Carson Underwood. He is a young Republican. From what I can tell, he's still kind of getting his stuff together. Website is still being tweaked and stuff like that. So I can tell you also another one who is pro-economic development.
No.
I know. I just...
2 out of the 3,
yeah. Doug doesn't mention it on his website the last time I checked. These things do change every day, so we'll see.
So 2 for economic development and 1 unknown.
One unknown, yes. Okay. Moving on to place 4. Councilwoman Prince is termed out. So we have former PISD trustee, that is Plano Independent School District Board of Trustee, Cody Weaver. Chris Downs. Well, I can honestly say I think her claim to fame is that she is the wife of David Downs, former council member and former zoning chair of the Planning and Zoning Committee. She was also on the Cultural Arts Commission. So haven't gotten a chance to check her website because when I went to check...
Wait, are you talking about Cody or Chris? I'm confused.
Chris is the wife of David Downs.
Oh, you said nothing about Cody Weaver except the name, so that was a very...
No, he is a former Plano Public School Board of Trustees person.
Oh, that's about all you know?
No, I know more. Hold on. This is just the intro. Okay, so Chris right now, well, the last time I checked her website, she didn't have one. I will continue to check and see. But one could infer that she's going to be on the same page as her husband was. So it's going to be, David Downs 2.0. So if you were not a fan of how David Downs was on council, or maybe you were a fan, that might sway you on how to vote. Okay, Cody Weaver. Cody Weaver, fellow Jew.
Okay.
Not a big deal, not important, but gotta just, throw that out there. As I said, Plano ISD trustee, very fiscally conservative in that, wants to be cares about how we spend taxpayer dollars.
Oh, he's a stereotypical Jew.
Okay, I know we're Jewish, but come on.
I have the right to joke about that.
Yes, we know that Cody is a Republican, so obviously he will be fiscally conservative, small government. He's, as far as I know, economic development or corporate welfare. It depends. It depends on the situation. He wants to delve into what the facts of each case are. Would he be giving $6 million to Raising Cane's? Maybe not. Maybe he would rather give to a small business person instead. So he is very case by case in that regard, which is good. I like that idea of, well, I'm not exactly for it in all cases, but maybe a couple of cases. Okay.
That means he can be swayed.
Yes, he can be swayed. I mean, principally, I would rather have somebody who would say no economic development, no corporate welfare of any kind. Right? Moving on to Mayor Munn's, unopposed, so this will be an easy race for him. He won't have to do anything. It must be nice to run unopposed. That'd be the way to go. All right, place 8. Here we have Hayden Pageant, young Republican. I had mentioned that he is the chair of the National Young Republicans. So this is anybody who is under the age of 40, which to me is no longer young. I would say under the age of 35, maybe even 30. That would be young, but they go up to 40. But who am I to judge? Spoke at the National Republican Convention as the chair of the Young Republicans. And Vidal, I will not butcher his name again. Last name. As far as we know, he has voted in Republican primaries in Collin County. Don't know how he voted in Dallas County. And another economic development person who is all gung-ho for it. Can I get anyone who's no? I forgot to mention yet. Hayden, as far as I'm aware, sources have told me that he is for certain kinds of economic development. So,
another fence sitter.
I wouldn't call him a fence sitter.
Another case-by-case guy.
No.
Oh.
He's okay with what they call tax abatements. So giving, maybe instead of giving them $6 million, the improvements that they make, if they make any improvements to their office building, let's say, or they build a building, they are going to get a reduction in the taxes. One could argue, well, if you are keeping up your property or if you're renovating your property, why should your taxes increase? If I decide that I'm going to put in a new kitchen and I'm going to gut my old kitchen and we're going to put new cabinets, new appliances, well, my taxes would go up. And they'll know that I'm doing that because I got to pull permits from the city. So then they're going to want to come out and they're going to want to see my new beautiful kitchen and they're going to okay, you've increased your tax bill by $500 now. I'm just pulling that number out of the air, folks. I don't know.
Why? Because the property value went up?
Because I've increased my property value. I've increased the property value because obviously a new updated kitchen is going to be worth more to a buyer who is going to buy it. If somebody does buy it when I go to sell it, it would be worth more value to them than the kitchen we have currently. But is that really fair? Yeah, I'm improving my home for myself, my family, because maybe, appliances have had it and the cabinets are all worn and torn and, I can't do anything to fix them. Is it really fair? What benefit does the city get by that? None.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because I see videos of people like making their own custom rooms and such, and people or custom builds inside their homes or art pieces, and people are always like in the comments, "Oh, you've decreased your property value because of this." No one's going to want to buy it because it's like it was custom made for them. They think it's nice. They like it. But it's not exactly,
sellable,
sell worthy.
Right.
Would that decrease the property value? Like, what would that do?
It is a good question. It depends. So the tax assessor is not going to come in, unless you want them to, and say, okay, you have painted this room orange.
I'm not even just talking about like painting the room orange. I'm talking about like they put like a whole like mural. They put like a ceiling jungle gym up in like an empty space up high in the foyer.
Okay, so normally the way these things go is if it's something that would be staying with the house, that's how they do it. Most people who come in and buy a house, unless you are painting it beige, your interior beige, most people, maybe even people who don't like beige, they're going to want to paint. They're going to come in and they're going to want to paint, or maybe they're going to want to take down the wallpaper. Maybe they don't like the wallpaper. Stuff that's easy to change like that, no, it's not going to. Now, if you do something like put in a Hello Kitty kitchen.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Possibly. But that is going to be up to the assessor. You're going to have them come in and say, okay, now how much is this worth? And they may go, okay, this is going to be difficult to sell because if somebody doesn't really love Hello Kitty, they're going to want to gut that whole thing. And that's expensive. Anyone who's redone a kitchen knows it's time-consuming, dusty, and expensive.
I was just wondering that because I've seen a ton of those videos. I should show you sometime. And I'm just curious.
Yeah, it depends on what they're doing. If it's a bathroom and it's not anything more than just paint, it could. But you're also going to have a problem selling the house. So, because
a lot of people, they're not doing it in order to sell the house. They're doing it for themselves. They're not planning to sell the house anytime soon.
Yeah, and as long as they go in there and put it back the way it was, or can put it back the way it was, then yeah, then fine. I say go ahead and do it. But a kitchen is going to be a little more difficult to change. Alrighty. So moving on from our city council, we will be continuously updating you on the races and stuff. There's going to be forums. There's going to be all kinds of things that you can go and see these guys and ask them questions. They all should have websites now. If they do not, They also have Facebooks. And if you want to ask a question, ask them a question there. Next, we have some zoning cases. All right. First zoning case up is the Willow Bend redevelopment. I don't know when they're going to be breaking ground because they keep getting delayed. So, this case has come before council. This particular one is zoning case 2024-20. And the Willow Bend people have come back to planning and zoning to basically change the design.
Again?
Yes. Well, they had a slight interesting little glitch. So Macy's is closing that store that is at the Willow Bend Mall. Now, Macy's actually owns the land that Macy's is sitting on. But if you've been reading any of the financial news, you know Macy's is having to downsize a little bit, and for whatever reason, I would say it has to be finances. That store wasn't doing well, so that store is getting closed. Now, Macy's owns the land, but good news for the developer is the developer has purchased the land from Macy's. So Macy's is getting demolished. So it was part of the original plan that it would stay there. So obviously this has forced them to change things now. With Macy's being demolished, or going to be demolished anyway, they had room now for something else.
Right.
So where Macy's currently sits will be an apartment building.
Really?
Yes.
That's what they decided to put there. They could put anything they wanted. They decided to put that.
Yes. But wait, there's more. Where there was going to be an apartment building by Chapel and Plano Parkway on that corner.
Okay.
You know where, if you've ever passed it, it's got all that bouncy house stuff. Sometimes the farmer's market is over there.
Yeah.
That corner, they want to put in townhomes.
Okay.
Single family townhomes.
So they're basically changing the location of the apartment and putting townhomes where?
The apartments I don't know if I think the apartments are going to be the same number. At least they're not increasing the apartments, but yes.
Yeah, they're changing the location.
Yes.
And does that mean that the amount of townhomes is increasing?
Well, there was no original townhomes, so yes.
I thought there was a certain, I could be making this up, but I could have sworn, I remembered in at least one of the plans, there was a section of land that was supposed to be townhomes.
But I had brought this up because and I had mentioned it because when the zoning case pops up on the website, I get a notification. So I realized, wait, this is Willow Bend. What are they doing? So I went and I looked at the plans, and that was the addition. And I had brought it up before it even came to planning and zoning, and then it came to planning and zoning and got tabled and tabled and tabled and tabled. Also, they're reducing the heights of some of the buildings.
Okay, I'm not opposed to that.
Probably because they did not get FAA approval.
Mm.
Because that little airport's there, and the FAA went, no, they can't be that high.
Go FAA.
I'm guessing, though, because I can't think of any other reason why they would lower the heights of some of the buildings.
Saving our skyline.
Some issues that came up was or the biggest issue that came up was parking. The commissioners really, really had questions on parking for the townhomes because these roads are going to be very narrow where the townhomes are. And they said that they will have enough room for 2 people because there'll be a 2-car garage. Okay. So they'll get 2-car garage. They'll get the drive, maybe a space in their driveway. And that's it.
But what about guests?
Yes, that's going to be the problem. You could have like 1 guest in front. So they were like, well, if the commissioners were like, well, what if you have a party? What if you're having a Super Bowl party? Like, where are your guests going to be?
4th of July.
Yeah. The developer said that the guests can park anywhere in the whole Willow Bend development.
You just might have to walk.
Yeah. So there is actually going to be a large parking lot across. It's going to be a little bit of a walk. But they could use that. They could use a parking garage that's going to be somewhere nearby. I don't know where. I didn't see it on the plans. But there's going to be a parking garage. But that is going to be extremely inconvenient for the homeowner. So do you remember we had gone to see a house that was in the downtown area?
A townhouse.
No, it was not a townhouse. It was actually it was a single family house.
Oh, right. I thought it was a townhouse because of how thin it was.
Yeah, it was really, really, really close. Like,
we drove up and I was like, oh, are these townhomes? Because they looked like townhomes to me. And she was like, no, that's the house.
It's a single family house. It does have a tiny, itty bitty little space in between it. I think if you open the window, you're in that house, and then the neighbor opens the window, you could hold hands.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Have a conversation without leaving your house. But no, these are going to be attached. But my point in bringing that up is there was no guest parking in front of that house because the road was the outside right in front of the house was way too narrow, the little tiny itty bitty street. And then they put a fire lane there so the fire trucks could get past. Because if you park your car there, fire trucks can't get past. So we actually had to park on G Street because you can't park inside there.
Yeah.
So a person who lives there can't park their own car in front of their house. That's another problem. And that they found in these newer, smaller developments where they made the street tiny, tiny, tiny. I mean, our house, we have, granted, our house is bigger, but we've got, my husband and I, we each have a car. Each of my children has a car. And my mother lives with us. So we've got 3 cars in the front, 2 cars in the garage. We could never live in this place because...
Well, it would also be too small of a living space.
Probably. But when I lived...
with 5 people.
Yes. But, I lived in a townhouse. My mom had a townhouse years ago way before we moved to Jersey. Way before we moved to Texas. We've been a lot of places. Way before we moved to Texas. And we had 3 adult drivers who lived there. At one point, we had me and my husband, my sister and her husband, and my mother all living in a 3-bedroom townhome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we had 6 drivers. And we had, what is that? What did I just say? 5 drivers. We had 5 drivers. Now, the townhome where we lived had a wider street. You could park outside of your house. And they had parking spaces at the end of the street of where the townhomes were. So there was plenty of parking. We didn't have this issue because the street was actually wide. But that's not going to be like this.
Why with these smaller homes, whether they're classified as single family or townhomes, why do they feel the need to make the streets so small?
They want to cram as many homes as they can into the acreage. And so in order to do that, they've got to make the streets smaller.
But that's irritating.
It is irritating. Theoretically speaking, the house we were in was a 3-bedroom. And you could have 2 parents and 2 children there who drive. Yeah, it'd be tight. But it is a 3-bedroom, still is a 3-bedroom house. Where are the kids going to park? A person who could afford that house, the kids will probably be able to afford to have cars of their own. Yeah.
Also, if you're the type of person that wants to use your garage, you wouldn't be able to because your car would have to be there.
Right. A lot of people don't use their garage for cars. They use their garage for storage, and they park in front of their house, or they park in their driveways.
They don't just use it for storage. Some people use it as a workspace.
Mm-hmm. So this was what the commissioners were saying. This is going to be an issue.
The attic is for storage.
The attic is for storage.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's what I say. I say, the garage is for cars, but some people use the garage as storage.
I don't know why you're fixated on that. Why am I fixated on the fact that people work in their garage and you're fixated on the storage?
You would need, if you worked in your garage, like a workshop type thing?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be kind of hot or cold.
Well, you'd have the door open.
You'd have to, I guess you could put air conditioning.
Yeah. The Chan, 11, and Caitlin, their workshop is their whole setup is in their garage. And they have air conditioning in there.
What about heat? Do they need heat?
Yeah, and heat.
Okay.
For the winter.
Okay. Well.
That whole entire setup is in their garage.
Okay. I thought you meant like an office in their garage.
No.
Okay. No. Okay. Then the cars would have to go in the driveway in this case. So they were really concerned about that. One commissioner, a new commissioner named Sean Lynn. I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry.
You also wrote it very messily.
I did. I'm sorry. He asked about who will be managing the site on a continual basis, and how are they going to draw people from outside of the development to the mall. Now, I thought that the whole reason for this livable mixed-use communities was that you didn't need to draw people to the development. They were already there.
Yeah, if we were trying to draw people out of the development to there, then what was the whole point? Because that was the initial problem.
Well, yeah, that was that was part of the problem. But they said, well, nobody lives there. If you put people there who live there full time, then oh yeah, this will be great.
Which isn't even true, because you literally have people. I mean, you can't walk there, but you have people who are what?
No, the people across the street from the mall could walk. There's
yeah. There's
apartments across the street.
There is a complex just across the street. There are people literally across the street from it. And maybe 0.5 miles out.
Yeah. So the owner said that they will have a house management team on site that will work for them. Also, they want to do what they currently doing. They still want to have the farmers market, and they do want to have movies in the park, because apparently there's going to be some open green space, and they'll have movies in the park. And
when would you be able to do that?
Don't ask me. I don't know. There's also going to still be the theater. Will still be the theater company is still going to be there, and they'll put on shows. So
they're gonna build a theater there, or do you mean the park?
It'll be an outdoor, like in the park. Yeah, they put up a big screen usually, and they show movies and stuff. Not for me.
I guess some people would like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
It would have to be perfect weather.
Yeah, which is a rarity in Texas. So another new commissioner, Commissioner Bender, much easier name to pronounce. He also, said he didn't like how close everything was going to be for the townhomes.
Kind of claustrophobic.
Yeah. Actually, there was one lady, one commissioner. She is relatively new. She's not brand new. Her name is, they pronounce it Lolly. She didn't like it at all. She felt that townhomes were not appropriate for this space.
Why?
I'm not sure. She really didn't say. She just said they weren't appropriate. I don't know what she didn't mention what she would want in lieu of there, but she just was like, I don't think this is very conducive. I don't think it flows, because it is kind of off in the corner from where the shops are going. It's pretty far from where all the shops are going to be, and the hotel and the restaurants and everything. I honestly, on a hot 100-degree heat day, if you were a person living in the townhomes and you wanted to go to the, let's say the restaurants, which is all the way on the other side, they'd probably drive there.
And the opposite, since we've just had like a really cold spell recently, if it's 17 degrees out.
Yeah. Unless they want to do like a shuttle thing, which might be a good idea. From the townhomes or from the apartments all the way through the whole of the development. If the developer wants to do that, that might be a good idea, actually. A small little shuttle. So this passed 4-1. Ollie was a no vote, and it's going to be coming to council tomorrow, Monday, the 24th, 7 p.m. City Hall. If you would like to comment on it. Next zoning case that was up, 2024-027. This is 10 acres on Spring Creek and Communications. This is on our side of town. So the owner wants to rezone it from commercial employment to planned development commercial, which is a very strange thing, because one would think commercial would be commercial, offices, retail. But no, this person wants to put 33 houses, single-family detached houses, in this area. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, this will be great. We could use more houses. This will be lovely. And it's right next to an open field, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking, which is ag. So I'm thinking, oh, this will be lovely for them. So I was like, I have no problem with this. Bring it on.
You forgot the fact that it's 33 houses.
And then, no, I didn't even know it was 33 houses. I just saw they were doing from commercial. They were going to commercial to put in single family houses. The 33 houses I didn't have a problem with. But then I listened to planning and zoning when this came up. And oh my goodness, did I change my mind on this. So.
Are they going to be crammed together?
Nope. Has nothing to do with how close they're going to be to one another, how close the streets are. It has to do with what's going to be around them. What is around them is pretty much empty land. Now, it's not zoned agriculture. To the north of them, on communications, they have independent living apartments. So it's basically senior citizen apartments. All right, not a big problem. And that's almost going to be finished. So people know, they'll see it. Okay, that's over there. Next door to them, where the open field is right now, lovely piece of grass, it's going to be commercial employment. You're going to have a 22-story building that is due to be built there. Now, granted,
Don't we not have
No.
any tall buildings in the area?
not yet.
That's going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. It's going to be a 22-story building. It's also actually is independent living apartments as well. So more apartments, 22 stories high. It's not built yet. I don't know when in the world that came to council. I don't even that. I don't think anybody even the person who wants to develop that even wants to do that with it, because I keep seeing for sale sign there. To the south, you've got what's going to be future office space. There is going to be commercial all around this single family little development. Not only that, when the 22-story building is going to be built, they're going to be able to look right down into the residential houses, into their backyards, probably into their windows, who knows. So this will negatively affect the future owners of the property.
It's going to negatively affect the look of everything.
Yes. One of the reasons why they're not rezoning this is strictly single family, and they don't want to do that, is because it's going to negatively affect the neighbors. Because when you put a single family house in, or single family zoning, there are only a certain things you can have around near it, okay? And then a bunch of stipulations kicks in. So they said, all right, to get our neighbors on board, because they're gonna be in an uproar, our future neighbors, we're going to keep it commercial, part of it commercial, so that it won't kick in all of the requirements. So it's very weird, very odd. The Commissioner Brunoff had a problem with that, because he was like, why not just make it single family? And I have a problem, because it's going to be single family houses there, but it's not going to be zoned solely single family.
Yeah, because it's underhanded.
Yeah. So
we're being underhanded about it.
Yeah, and I think that if the houses get built first and all that commercially zoned land is still empty, the future owners are going to go, oh, look, we're right next to a field. Isn't that lovely? And nobody that I know of goes and looks and sees what's the next door property zoned as before they buy a house. The only people who do that are people who have been burned by their city councils before, or their zoning department before.
I remember, I don't know how old I was, but I was pretty young. There was this little plot of land left, and there was nothing there, and I think it was around where Easties is now.
Yes.
and there was nothing there. It was just this little plot of land, and then they started building on it, and I got so upset. I could have been older than like 13, but I got so upset that they were taking away that little piece of land, that one last piece of grass that was left in the entire area.
I remember I even said, as I was driving by that for many years, I'm like, this is empty. I wonder what's going to go there. And I figured it was going to be shops. I did. I figured it was just going to be retail. And I figured, oh, you know what? Restaurants, that would be great because, the movie theater's right there. So restaurants would be great to tie that in. And it was a little bit of retail. It was restaurants. Restaurants came. The Eatsies was very nice. But, oh, God, they put in those horrible-looking apartments. And it was like, yuck. Why? Okay. Oh, this made me laugh. This next part made me laugh. Hazard a guess how much these houses are going to be?
Probably expensive.
Yeah.
Judging by your tone.
$2.5 million is the price that these houses would be sold at.
Wait, did you say $2 million?
$2.5 million.
Oh, I missed the half.
Yeah. Almost.
So $2.5 million.
Yeah. $2.5 million. Next to basically next to the service road or the tollway, next to a 22-story building. This developer is crazy. He's nuts. I don't know where he thinks he was like plugging this. He was like, oh yes, people are going to definitely want to buy these houses. We are going to be honest about what's going to be developed around it, and they are not going to be afraid of it.
So he wants to bring the wealthy people in.
I was like, okay, that's it. I'm out. I'm like, no, you're nuts. You're nuts. First of all, that's not what Plano needs. Plano does not need more very expensive houses. All right. And this is obscenely expensive. Okay. And by the way, the pictures of the houses that they showed of the mock-up, they did not look like they would be worth $2.5 million.
Oh.
They looked like they could be easy. I say maybe 500,000. They were not big. They didn't look large.
So they're not like
they weren't mansions. No, these were not mansions. Okay. That you could get a mansion.
No luxury.
For that amount. You could get a mansion with a lot of land.
No luxury home. What about the inside? Well,
they claimed it was going to be luxury, so it's probably going to be luxury inside, but it didn't look big. It didn't look...
Maybe it's one of those homes where it's bigger on the inside.
I don't know. I don't think anybody is going to want to buy a $2 million house and it looks like a $500,000 house. I'm sorry, that's just they will price themselves out of the market. They claim that this is what the market is saying. I disagree. I was actually kind of surprised that the commissioners, the way they were thinking. I thought they would go for this. They didn't. Commissioner Brunoff...
I thought the price was ridiculous, too.
I don't know if it was the price, but Commissioner Brunoff, he said that you've got a request for beautiful homes in the wrong place. The comp plan does not allow for this at this property. This property is reserved for economic development. And he said, we must respect the comp plan. Oh, music to my ears, finally. They're going to respect the comp plan.
Well, when it has to deal with economic development.
Yeah, I guess. He said the 20-story building that will be built near these homes will negatively affect these homes. Also, the price point does not help the need for housing in Plano. I couldn't agree with him more. This is like shocking to me. Commissioner Bender, he just said this is not the right land use. Lolly, again, agreed. And she said it's not integrated into, it's not going to be integrated into the commercial that's going to be next door. It's going to all isolated on its own. The chair, Commissioner Ratliff, he said, is it a great project in the wrong place? And the other commissioner agreed. Same. So 5-0 to deny. All 5 of them unanimously denied this request.
Wow.
Okay. This will come to council. They do not have a date for it yet. If it comes to council, because it was a unanimous vote, now I'm not sure about this. I need to double check this. But normally speaking, if a zoning request fails unanimously, it triggers what is called a supermajority vote to pass it at council. So they have to get, I believe it's 6 members on council to override P&Z. However, only 5 commissioners were there. 3 commissioners were out. I don't know if it's this trigger is on how many commissioners vote no, or if it's just unanimous. Now, you did have a majority of the commissioners, 5, vote no. Even if the 3 were there and they voted yes, it would still have failed. This zoning change would have failed. So this may, we have to double check this, may need a supermajority, which is a good thing. So that is all for the zoning cases. Like I said, we don't need any more $2.5 million houses, folks. We could use some nice $400,000 houses.
I think we're past that.
You don't think anyone can build any kind of house, even a condo, for a small house? Let's say a single story house.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're talking about just like
maybe like 2,000 or 1,500 square feet.
All right, if you're talking like a tiny house.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a mansion. It doesn't have to be 5 bedrooms. I'm just saying, like two bedrooms, or even like 1 bedroom and an office, but something for the 55 and over. I mean, the development at Frisco Lakes, these were new. Now, they're probably higher now, but they were going in the 3s and the 4s. And these were smaller footprint, smaller house, but they even had a good distance between the houses. But the house on the inside, it was, under 2,000 and under square feet. Because you were just it was just for maybe 1 bedroom, maybe 2 bedrooms, a bedroom / or den, or office type thing, where you had empty nesters. Maybe, somebody comes over and visits for a night. They're done having the big, Thanksgiving dinners and stuff, and they just want, they're done climbing the stairs. They don't want to do any of that. They're all just want a smaller home. That's what we could use in Plano, because we need some place for the seniors to go so that the larger homes that are currently built right now open up for families, because we need families. Families are leaving Plano. We're closing 4 schools. Lastly, but not least, our lovely VID, very important dog, Spot. We've mentioned Spot before. He's still up for adoption.
Get him.
He is a very good boy. He is very obedient and so smart. Spot knows the commands sit, stay, and down. He rides well in the car and loves to look out the window on the drive. Spot went on a group walk and got along with all the other dogs. He's very friendly and likes head rubs. Spot showed no prey drive along the walk when encountering squirrels and birds. He was interested in all the passing bikers and walkers. Spot is about 4 years of age and likes belly rubs. So if you're interested in Spot, please go and get him. Or look him up on our website, planospoliticalpitbull.com, and you can hit the button Pitbulls Up for Adoption. This is Esther.
And this is Ruth.
For Plano's Political Pitbull. Signing off.